I'm back, and we're going to be talking about something I thought I covered a few months ago, but I didn't because I'm an idiot. But we're going to be talking about the Boxer Rebellion. Oh my god. Now, I don't know if this video is going to get me flagged or something because, just with the current world stage. But yeah, if you don't know what the Boxer Rebellion is, well, yeah, I'll tell you. So, yeah, pretty much the Boxer Rebellion was a rebellion by China. So you may be asking yourself, what is the Boxers? So basically, the Boxers are actually called the Harmonious Fist or something like that, and pretty much they were Chinese. Chinese. They call themselves Chinese patriots, and they pretty much want to rid China of foreign influence and control, because it was the year around 1899, 1900, and for like the past 70 years, China has literally been controlled by, the Western powers, and, the Chinese were getting a little bit of sick of it. So, yeah. Especially they were very angry at Britain because Britain literally destroyed them in two wars, the Opium Wars. Now, they were called the Boxers because they were trained in martial arts, if you can get the, the joke, I guess. Boxers, they punch, and anyway, that joke's out of the way. It's not really a joke, but who cares? Now, pretty much the Boxers just hated every Westerner, so they started going around China and killing a bunch of Westerners. Because, yes, Westerners did live in China. They also hated, they probably hated this the most, Chinese Christians, because in China it was not common to be Christian or pretty much support Western religion is pretty much what it was described as. So they would kill Chinese Christians. They would also kill foreign missionaries, Christian missionaries who were trying to make Chinese people Christian, if you know what I mean. And pretty much a lot of the world got pretty upset by this because this was pretty much breaking laws of humanity, and they were just killing innocent people, women, children, and the world was pretty upset about this. Now, the Boxers. Now, we're going to be talking about the Empress of China, and her name, which is, I don't really know how to say. I'm probably going to, screw this up, but it was the Empress pretty much. Her name was, hold on, I need to look at my script. Oh no. Empress Dowager Shiki? I don't know. Um, but pretty much she was the emperor. Now she didn't openly support the Boxers, but secretly she did because the foreigners were were pretty much, and she thought were trying to destroy the Qing dynasty. Because that's what foreigners do, I guess. I don't know. So pretty much with all this mass killing going on, the world got pretty upset. So pretty much major 8 nations. So we have Russia, France. Oh, hold on, fingers. Russia, France, Britain. Russia, France, Britain, America, Japan, Germany. Germany's always involved. Italy. Oh, and there's one other one. I just forgot. It was like Austro-Hungarian or something. It's pretty much the 8 superpowers of the world just got together and were like, "Hey, bro, you need to stop this, or we're gonna send in troops." So what's weird is this was like one of the only times the whole world actually united against the cause. So I guess that's an achievement. Now the Boxers like, no, come at us, bro. So the 8 powers sent troops to Peking, and that's kind of where we all start. Now, there was a lot more goes to the Boxer Rebellion, but I'm just going to talk about the Battle of Peking because it's the most interesting, in my opinion. And yeah. So basically, Admiral Seymour, which was a British admiral, he sent a relief force about over 2,000 men to Peking because Peking only had about maybe 400, 500 soldiers from the eight nations. Now, this reinforcements were caught by surprise by heavy Boxer resistance, so they couldn't get to Peking. And the Boxers decided to take this into their hands because they knew that with their numbers they could easily defeat the Western Allies in Peking since they only had about 400, 500 men. Now, the Boxer soldiers weren't really professionally trained in fighting. It was more just with numbers. And they didn't really have any rifles. This was, remember, Boxers were not the Imperial Army, so they weren't the official military for China. They're more like a paramilitary group, I guess you'd say, in modern day. Now, the Boxers pretty much had no weapons, no guns. They pretty much had, though, they used ancient traditions, so like spears, and they usually used old muskets. Now, it was modern day, so even though the Allies were very outnumbered and they didn't really know the terrain as well, they had, bolt action rifles, machine guns, and two artillery pieces. One was an Italian 1 pounder, and the second one it was like the world gun, so it was made up of just a bunch of different parts. So like the barrel was Italian, and then it was kind of just like that. So pretty much, still it wasn't looking great. But the soldiers defending Peking, or the foreign legations, is what they were really defending, were highly trained and were able to do things that the Boxers didn't think they could. It was pretty much like an epic last stand. And for example, U.S. troops would actually go on. U.S. troops, with the help of some other, friendly Chinese and British soldiers and just other countries, would go on to raid armories and Boxer control. Would actually U.S. and British troops would actually go launch like a secret covert operation to recapture the wall that overlooked the legations. So there's this huge wall surrounding the legations. And basically the Boxers captured it. So one night the Americans and the British sent it was like only a few, it was like not even that much, and they surprised the Boxers, and even though not good, they actually took the wall back. Now, obviously, this was hard, and the Boxers broke through numerous times, and there were still civilians in the city, because, it's a civilian town. There's obviously going to be civilians. Um, but Seymour's relief force was still, it wasn't, they were still being heavily casualtied, and it didn't look good for Peking. But the eight nations decided not to surrender because they were not going to deal with this. Then, about days, a few days after the siege started, Emperor Dowager called in the Imperial Army, which is the Chinese official army, and declared war on the eight nations, which is a really stupid idea if you ask me, and I'm not trying to be biased or something, but honestly, I think every Hearts of Iron 4 player knows that that's not really the smartest thing to do. Now, pretty much the Imperial Army, they had guns, but still, they were just outmatched, and with more reinforcements arriving day by day from the Allies with, powerful warships and well-trained troops, it was pretty much over for the Boxers and the Imperial Army. Now, the Boxers and the Imperial Army's main goal was to get the Westerners out of China, but obviously but that didn't work. Now, the siege was still going on, and medical supplies were running out in Peking. Food, water, it was not good. Ammunition was running out, and the casualties, like the percentage of casualties that the Allies were suffering, was extremely high. It was like this. It was like someday on like at one time it was like 48% out of 400, 500 people. So it was not looking good. But they did hold their ground. They lost ground, got it back. So by the end of the siege, about 50 uh, um, Westerners were killed. Um, about over 100 were wounded, but they did manage to hold Peking for exactly 55 days. And that's why it's called 55 Days at Peking. It's actually more formally known as the Boxer Rebellion, but its nickname is 55 Days at Peking. Now, what happened after was that Emperor Dowager was allowed to keep her position as emperor, but was obviously limited, and China literally was pretty much under direct foreign military occupation. Now, the Qing dynasty would continue for about another 12 years until 1912 when the Chinese Republic took over and, yeah, pretty much ended the Qing dynasty. So, yeah, the Boxers failed, the Imperial Army failed. It was just, honestly, it was not a good war. It's actually a war that gets overshadowed, but it was a very important war. Um, but yeah, so that's pretty much how it all went down. They held delegations, and this is there's actually a movie called 55 Days at Peking, so go watch that if you're interested. But yeah, it's pretty much what went down there. So I'll see you guys next time or later or whatever. I don't know. Just see you when I record again. I don't know.